episode of Healthy Waves, the podcast where we dive and ride the rhythm of real conversations, the wellness, wisdom, and the waves of joy. I'm your host Avik, and today's episode is all about unplugging from burnout culture and plugging into the joy. So, with a remarkable guest by side, where we are challenging the grind and inviting all of you to play hooky. Yes, seriously, for your mind, your community, and for your soul. So, please welcome our lovely guest, Julie Heaton. So, welcome to the show, Julie.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Amazing. So, dear listeners, before we start delving deep into the topic today, I'll quickly love to introduce you with Julie. So, dear listeners, Julie is someone who manifested her way into countless hearts. So, she's an author, mentor, certified health and wellness coach, and the Reiki master, whose books like the Manifestor's Playbook are lighting the way for people ready to transform. And after 3 decades in the corporate world, she chose herself and now helps others to do the same as well. So, one breakthrough at a time. So, I'll not take much of time, dear listeners. Welcome to the show again, Julie.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Amazing, amazing. So Julie, like self-love, uh, manifestation and identity. I mean, your book and the coaching work center around living intentionally. So, what was the moment that you knew uh, you were ready to start living purely as yourself?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. I don't know if it was a moment. Um,
Uh,
I'll tell you, as you mentioned, I spent many decades in the corporate environment, successful, doing my thing. And at at one point, I really faced burnout in such a big way. I made myself pretty ill. And it was from not listening to my own soul's guidance, from really uh, you working through somebody else's lens and somebody else's story to build companies that weren't mine. Wasn't my vision. And at one point, I was a single mom raising a son, and he was struggling in college, and I went to give him a big lecture about working hard and doing the thing. And he said to me, "Why? Y- It's why? You're not happy." And it just that was that was a big moment, obviously a huge shift for me. Like, yeah, I thought I was showing him how to work hard and attain the things that you want, and especially in American culture. And what I showed him was really burnout. He was right. I wasn't happy, and
mm,
that started a big internal shift in me, and what I needed to do to live my story, to to honor who I am and figure out who that was, because I had buried it under so many years of other people's expectations of me. Does that make sense?
mm. Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly makes sense. Yeah. So, like, um, I mean, was it a slow awakening or maybe a radical shift?
It was both. I had real big shifts at once. Like, things would happen, and it'd be this huge shift, but then things would slow down. I would have to integrate that shift into my body. So, you know, for a while, it took me a long time, honestly, to say, "I can't do this anymore. I don't wanna do this anymore." And people I told people that were closest to me, and they, "Well, what are you gonna do?" "Well, I don't know." "I'm gonna find myself." "What does that mean?"
Exactly.
"I don't know." It was coming from me, who was, very driven, very focused on making things perfect, all those things. For me to leave that and not know, people were just, uh, n they didn't understand, but I knew it's what I had to do. It was time, and if
Okay.
I didn't do it, and it sounds dramatic, but I feel like it's really true, I'd be dead right now. You know, my whole body was just, uh, the universe speaks to you in many, many ways, and it will show you gently, and then it will show you a little harder, and then it will knock you on your butt. And by the time I left that career, I was on my butt. So it was time, it was more than time.
Exactly. Very true. I totally agree on this. And it's so it's empowering to hear that. I mean, it gives people permission to evolve and realign. Definitely, I have to say. Yeah.
I always say it's this and that. It's reality and spirituality. We have to live in this world and do the things. I mean, we don't have to, but it makes life more pleasant if we can pay our bills, right? But we can also evolve spiritually. We can balance those things. It doesn't
Mm,
have to be one or the other. And that was a big discovery. It's this and that. It's not this or that for me. And you asked, was it a quick thing or did it take time? Our journey in life, in my opinion, is not a quick thing. We learn a lesson and then it might come back around and we learn it a little deeper and then it comes back around and we learn it a little deeper and it's until we're dead or Buddha status, we're going to keep learning lessons. We're going to keep evolving. Hopefully. That's
correct.
that's my goal is to keep my evolution going.
Mm, very true. Exactly. So, how does the manifestation actually play a role in shifting one's emotional state, especially when someone is deeply burned out?
Yeah. Well, pardon me. We're manifesting all the time. With every thought, feeling, and action, we manifest. So, right now, where you and I are today, we manifested this. It's life. I think people get confused that manifestation is attaining some big paycheck or, it can be, but manifestation is just continually happening. So in what I discovered and so I wrote the Manifestor's Playbook is to really manifest intentionally and to know what you want out of your life. First, you have to know yourself, and then you have to accept and love and validate yourself without any external influences. And then you can intentionally manifest your life you're meant to have. And it probably is going to look a lot different than you thought it was going to look.
True.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah. And so like in your work, you often talk about unlearning the old patterns.
Mhm.
So what's one belief uh you have had to unlearn that changed everything?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll be honest, there's a lot of beliefs I had to unlearn and some still pop up, really most recently I had this big I'll be honest, one of my manifestations, one of the things I really wanted to do this year was get on podcasts, to get the message out. I feel like it's the best way to help people for me. I'm very conversational. I'm not social media is hard for me because it feels like such a little snippet of almost non-reality. But podcasts, you can get a little deeper. And anyway, so I did. I manifested getting on some podcasts, and then as soon as I manifested it, as soon as I started getting bookings, I was like, "Oh no, uh-oh, like what have I done? What am I gonna do?"
Yeah.
And I panicked a little bit, and I thought, I need to have a script. I need to know, like, what are my bullet points? I just went into a whole story around what it should look like until it just my husband said, honey, y- this is life. This is your life. Why don't you just, like take a breath and talk about your life? And that hit me like, yeah, I know what I know. And I don't, I always want to be authentic. I never want to feel scripted. So why am I trying to script this?
Exactly.
So in the end, I came to the realization that I love these conversations. I love talking. I love deep conversations. I'm just going to go into these podcasts with joy in my heart and an open mind and see what happens.
Mhm.
And whatever conversations want to show up, show up. And that has brought so much joy to me and a big release of pressure. I know what I know.
Yeah, exactly. That's very interesting. Yes, lovely. And how do we help others honor their space while also discovering their joy? What do you have to say?
That's a really good question. You got to meet people where they are. You know, I feel like in a lot of spiritual work, people have a track, here's what you're going to do, and next, 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 next. And people are different. They're interesting and they have their own perspectives and they're maybe ready to evolve in one area of their life, but not another. And I always tell people start where you are. Start where you are. Don't look at anybody else. Even my books. Take something that seems interesting in there, but if it doesn't seem interesting, don't do it. It's baby steps. Take one thing, work it out, then
Yeah.
adopt another thing that resonates with you.
Mhm.
Not everything I say is going to resonate with people, even people that follow me and like me, and that's okay. It's not meant to. We're all on our paths in different spaces. I have my own perspective and my own lens, and some of that's going to work for you and some of it isn't. So the biggest thing I will say is start where you are,
Mhm.
start with one thing and work your way up.
Wow, that's amazing. And wow, so also, so this might sounds contradictory, but it actually not. So some people say that playing hooky is a kind of privilege. So how or like what do you say to those people, those critics who argue that joy uh, and breaks aren't kind of accessible to everyone?
Oh, eh, they haven't experienced joy and breaks, then, you know, um, I was one of those people that was, I worked 11 hours a day. Worked out physically 2 hours a day. I was a single mom. I did all the things. No wonder why I burned out.
Mm.
There was no, there was no time to find joy. There was no time to stop and smell the flowers. It was this whole thing. And
Yeah.
when I left that whole life, I had all this time and I was so uncomfortable in it. I felt guilty. I felt, what am I doing? I should be doing something. It took me it took me months, probably a year, till I could appreciate the space I had and the time. My poor husband, he would leave for a trip and he'd say, "Okay, what are you going to do today?" And I'd be, "Why? What do you mean?" I get real defensive
Yeah.
because I was feeling guilty about not having a full day of chores. I wasn't going to be busy 11 hours. And that's a practice too. It's really a practice to sit in it, whatever it is. And for me at that time, it was sitting in the discomfort of just being me, of just learning who I am without distractions. I had hours a day to meditate and journal and figure out who I am. And for the first few months, I pushed it all away. I tried to fill it until I learned, no, 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 no. You've got to sit in it. You just got to sit in it and learn to relax, learn to feel the joy. It took a while.
Mm.
I hope I answered that for you.
Exactly. Exactly. Amazing. And so others believe that manifestation bypasses the real pain, that it ignores the structural problems. So how do you address those concerns in your work?
Let me make sure I understand the question. So you're saying that when you say structural problems, what are you referring to?
I mean, which is already there or which is very common.
Mhm. So, I think manifestation, the word, has got a really bad rap, in the last several years, showing kind of memes of people wishing, oh, I want $1 million, I want $1 million, I want $1 million, and then, it doesn't show up because, or even it does. I, like I said earlier, we manifest all the time. We're always manifesting. There's nothing in your life right now you haven't manifested. So the 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 thing about manifesting intentionally is from a place of self-love is you can really decide how you want your life to look. And for me, i- the biggest thing I want is inner peace. I don't want to get um which is achievable, but it also takes a lot of boundaries and a lot of work. So it's
Mm,
not I can't just say I want inner peace. In our world today, it
correct.
you've got to really be solid in your foundation internally, not to be a wave. You not to go along with everything that's upsetting all the time. And that doesn't mean ignoring the world conditions. It doesn't mean any of that. What it means for me is doing what I can in my area of influence. So taking care of the people I can take care of, helping the people I can help, and honoring my own intentions. I'm not sure I answered that for you, but
No, yes, somehow definitely yes. But I'll keep it as it is because I'll definitely love to keep it raw and the honest for sure. So, um, that's definitely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And also, when we're talking about this play hooky thing, uh, what message do you want every listener who is listening, or maybe they will be listening, uh, to walk away with when it comes to living the life that they deserve?
I believe that to live a life you deserve, it starts internally. You have got to know and love yourself. That's the first place to start. Once you know and love yourself, it's the world just unfolds for you. It probably won't unfold the way you think it would have it before you loved yourself, but it
Yeah,
unfolds in such a beautiful way, and it life just gets a lot easier. You know,
true.
you can flow. There's just a flow to it, and now in my life, when I'm not flowing, when I'm rigid,
Hmm,
it's I get excited because it's such a good opportunity to figure out what's stuck. What do I need to work on? So when you hold space for yourself, you can find those rough edges. You can smooth those things out for yourself a lot easier. It's just my hope is that I can help millions of people just love themselves a little more every day. I I I think it's what changes the world. Love and hate can't coexist. And if you can show up in a group full of self-love, it radiates. It helps. It helps the vibration.
hmm, exactly. I agree. I totally agree on this. Yeah. Wow. So, uh, and also, like, what does freedom mean in the season of your life? So, what do you have to say?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was just I'm writing my next book, and freedom is a big theme in there. Um, being free from what other people think of you, being free from fear of looking silly or foolish or being misunderstood. It's there's nothing like it. It releases so many limits in your life. So if I was worried about what I was saying to you today, or how people might respond to it, I would have changed my message. You know,
True.
and it might not have resonated with somebody it was meant to resonate with. So freedom for me is trusting my intuition, using God, angels, the spirits to direct my voice. Just let it go, like you said, raw and authentically, without without fear of repercussions. Freedom is really, for me, humility.
Okay, got it. Hmm. Amazing. Lovely. So, what a ride today, dear listeners. Full of sound, soul, and seriously good reminders. Yeah.
What
So,
a
dear
good reminder.
listeners, yeah, yeah. And also to Julie's call to rise into the life that you are born to live. And this episode actually reminded us that joy isn't just an optional thing, it's very, very essential. Yeah. So, dear listeners, if you are listening to this on your break, or maybe your commute, or in the middle of your own transformation, then know this that you don't have to earn your right to rest. You are worthy of love, peace, and play right now, exactly as you are. So, if this episode has sparked something in you, then go ahead, play hooky, even if just for an hour. Yeah. So, take back your breath, your joy, your life. So, with this hope, until next time, stay kind to yourself and ride those healthy waves. So, thank you so much.